Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for July 24th through the 30th. And this week we have a bit of a slowdown in the energy. We have some aspects involving Mercury and Venus, Venus still retrograde in the sign of Leo, and a first quarter moon in Scorpio. So it's still going to be a little deep, but my sense is a bit of a relief from the last couple of weeks. My name is Shauna McGrath. I am a psychotherapist and astrologer, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this week's astrology with you so that we can make the most out of it. So, first thing that's happening this week is we have a first quarter moon in the sign of Scorpio. And the first quarter moon is the waxing moon. It is when the sun and the moon make a square aspect. So that usually means that, well, that always means that they are in the same modality. So in this case, we have the sun in the sign of Leo, which is a fixed sign. Fixed signs are about developing things and continuing to grow and build upon something that we've started. So we've started something new with our new moon that happened last week, new moon in Cancer, and we're moving forward. And then the first quarter moon this week is in the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is also a fixed sign, but it's a water sign. So there is this like really digging into things. And the first quarter moon is a point in the lunar cycle where we can sometimes feel like maybe there's a little bit of a tension or we need to figure things out. It has this tension kind of feeling tone to it. And oftentimes it's because we need to commit further to something or we need to redirect our energy in some way. And this being in the sign of Scorpio, there's this theme around really going deeply into the root of the issue. And whenever the moon is in Scorpio, whether that is transiting or in your birth chart, the moon is really about intensely feeling and really intuiting on what is at the bottom of things. So it's a great time for doing any kind of like research and investigation. And in this case, it's going to benefit us to, let's see, how do I want to say this? It's going to benefit us to make a change that's like really, that feels really good versus doing like a shortcut or something that's going to kind of like, it's okay for now and I'll deal with that later. Scorpio does not want us to deal with it later. Scorpio wants us to clear out and to remove things that are hindering or that are not in alignment. Scorpio also wants us to acknowledge the truth of something. Scorpio is really about being authentic, and Scorpio is kind of like, as an energy, it's kind of like allergic to glossing over issues. And so I share this with you because a person who has their moon in Scorpio natally when they were born, that's like their life. That's a part of who it is that they are. And then we all get to experience this, like really wanting to root into what's going on here. And yeah, it can feel a little bit intense. But I think my point is, the more that we really are truthful with ourselves and what we're actually feeling, the more flow and ease and even healing and catharsis there can be during this week. Now, I don't know if I said this first quarter moon happens on Tuesday or Wednesday, the 25th or 26th, depending on where you are in the world. And so this is like an earlier in the week sort of energy. And then there's more of that flow and ease. Now, the other aspect that's happening this week is we have Mercury and Venus coming together in the sign of Leo. So Mercury is our analytical mind. It's our thought process, communication. It's also very connected to business and languages and our intuition, our ability to symbolically connect with things. And Venus is about beauty, relationships, love, money, sexuality, and our self-worth. Now, this is really important because Venus is retrograde. So we are like fully in the retrograde process. This is where Venus appears to move backward in the zodiac. In this case, it's in Leo. And the period that Venus is retrograde from July 22nd to September 3rd, this is a chunk of time where we're really getting more into our experience of relationships, money, and self-worth. And we're really exploring those topics more deeply than we typically would. And we're especially exploring them in a way that is rooted in Leo. Leo is a fixed earth sign, so it's about developing passions, developing being the fixed part, passions being the fire. And so when Mercury comes in here and connects to Venus, it's like there's something to say, there's something to talk about, there's something to think about. If you are wanting to improve your communication, either within a certain relationship or just in general, this is a great week to really look at that and to think about that and to think about how you speak to others, how you speak to yourself, what kind of language you use, because Mercury is all about language. And there's a strong potential for healing here too, because Venus, one of Venus's keywords is also healing. And the healing that can come through being soothed, through relationship, that relationship is a huge healing function and factor, and that that when we experience trauma, whether that is major trauma with a big T or small trauma with a small t, that that we heal trauma through relationship. Trauma tends to be a relational phenomenon, and then the healing process is relational as well. And so a lot of potential for healing here. And so after this, Mercury moves into the sign of Virgo. So it's kind of like there's something here that's happening. There's a connecting in with communication and relationships. And again, a potential for healing and soothing and repair. And then there's this movement of the intellect, Mercury, into the sign of Virgo, which is very much about discerning and looking at the way that a system functions. And we really like Mercury in Virgo usually because that is its sign of rulership, and it means that Mercury can function in its best way. It's very comfortable in Virgo. It has all of its resources. And so our communication can flow easily and harmoniously. So yeah, it feels like overall when I'm looking at this week, it's kind of like there's maybe a bit of like anxiety or kind of like frustration earlier in the week, or like there's just kind of something that needs to be assessed or decided, or maybe confronted. And you're probably like, Shauna, like I have been confronting things because the last couple of weeks, the transits have been intense. There's been a lot of transits around confronting the shadow and working with unconscious material. And so it doesn't feel like a big thing. It feels like this is more about sort of like the final piece maybe in something that you've been contemplating. So there's that kind of energy earlier in the week. And then there's this really lovely Mercury Venus where we get to maybe like figure out how to relanguage things or how to rethink about things. And it could also be internal, where you gain a sense of clarity on who you are in relationship and what you want in relationship, interpersonal dynamics, those kinds of things. So we're going to pull some cards for you here. Okay, so, oh, very interesting here. I love these for you. So first card is the Magician. The Magician, let's see. Yeah, there we go. So the Magician is about having all of the resources that you need to create the life that you want, or if there's a new project or a new something or other. This is saying that like you have the things that you need inside of you, and that, yeah, that you can create magic, that it's a matter the Magician is also very connected to the idea of alchemy, and that the parts that come together create something that is greater, that the whole is greater than the parts. And as I'm saying that, I just noticed there's like a little spider that like was like crawling back up its web. So that was really interesting. That's a good little omen there. So yeah, so there's something here that I think this is also feels like a card of encouragement, that you are powerful, and that you do have the, when I say resources, the Magician is really about inner resources. Could be external too, of course, but it's really emphasizing that you have the things that you need to go forward with what it is that you want or that you're creating. Now, I also pulled the 10 of Cups, and I pulled this card reversed. This card is usually about celebration and like a culmination of things, so that it's reversed. And in the middle section, this feels like the culmination point is not quite clear yet. The end goal is not quite clear. And it might be that maybe you're not sure, or it might be that you're sure and you have a clear vision, but there's things that that need to fall into place first. And then the last card that I pulled is the Eight of Swords. And I pulled this reversed. And when this, so there's a couple cards in the deck that when I pull them reverse, they, I really like them. Does that make sense? So typically the Eight of Swords represents feeling restricted and bound and trapped. The thing with the Eight of Swords is that sense of being trapped is usually, at least to some extent, something that you that's in your mind, that you have control over. And when I pull it reversed, this tells me that there is a release of that there's a healing of that there's a breaking through of where you feel trapped. And so when I'm looking at these, yeah, it's like, I really like this for you. It feels like there's a strong sense of encouragement, and to focus on your inner resources. Your most precious resources are your time and attention and your energy. And those are exhaustible, right? But they're also something that you can cultivate in different ways and that you have control over. So there's encouragement here around using your resources to create something that is special and magical and even alchemical. And that the end result here is like not quite clear. There's like a desire for something really beautiful. And yeah, it's kind of like the details are not clear yet. And the end result of this is a release of feeling trapped, like that I'm really thinking about like Uranus energy here, where we're able to move freely, and anything that it feels like has been constricting us or blocking us, that we're able to just walk through that binding, or to release that binding. So I hope that you found this helpful. My name is Shauna McGrath. I am a psychotherapist and astrologer. If you appreciate my work and are interested in working with me or learning more, you can find out more on my website. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And yeah, I'm wishing you a wonderful week, sending you lots of love and wishes of soothing and healing and an immensely easeful week. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.